Hello, sports fans and football fans. It's me, Sportsman Z, Bob Zulke. And today, I have some cards to show off. We got the 1985 USFL set from Strat-O-Matic. Now, as far as the actual physical cards, Strat-O-Matic only made 6 teams. They made the Birmingham Stallions, the Baltimore Stars, the New Jersey Generals, the Oakland Invaders, the Houston Gamblers, and the Memphis Showboats. And I don't have a helmet for Memphis, so there's no helmet. And we're going to let the Houston Texans helmet stand in for the Houston Gamblers helmet because it looks similar to what it was. The Houston Gamblers, they had like a G that had like an in-cut of the state of Texas in it. So we're going to look through these cards and see what players were on these teams. A lot of NFL players. There were a ton of NFL players on the teams. And so we will be looking through that and, and seeing who was on what team. Obviously, there's some that you know, some very famous players that you know. And I don't think that there's much else to be said. Now, the Strat-O-Matic Game Company does sell the entire 1985 USFL if you get the game. They have, the electronic version of the game has the entire league. I was really hoping that they would put out the, you know what? I mean, my favorite team when I was a kid for the USFL was the Washington Federals, but I don't think the Federals even maybe lasted until 85. They went under before that. So that's possible anyway. But anyway, we'll go through and see who's on what teams. And we'll play. The first team we're going to look at is the Birmingham Stallions. And there is the helmet. That is the old helmet for the Stallions. Of course, the new one looks sort of similar to that. So let's go through here. Here is their kicking card. Now, one thing I notice immediately is that the punter is Bob Parsons, and Bob Parsons was on the Chicago Bears. I know that. Probably prior to this season. Could have been after, though. Who knows? The quarterback for the Stallions, the old Stallions, was Cliff Stout. You remember Cliff Stout? I think he was on Pittsburgh in the NFL. And that's his card. And there is his running card, if you care to see that. A lot of these quarterbacks have a lot of must runs on it. And they did really well. And Joe Cribbs was on the Birmingham Stallions. And there's his running card. And his receiving card isn't even too bad either. He caught 41 passes. Fullback, Joel Coles. I don't remember Joel Coles. I don't think he was ever in the NFL now. Jim Smith. Jim Smith is one of their receivers. This guy had some pretty good stats. He caught 87 passes for 1,322 yards. Joey Jones. And, of course, if anybody here sounds familiar to you, you know that they were on maybe your favorite team in the NFL or something, leave it in the comments. I'm not certainly going to know if all of these players or any of these, some of these players even played in the NFL, but they may have. Daryl Mason, it looks like, is the tight end for the team. Their defense against the pass was good to excellent. And their defense against runs was just average. I think what they probably did was give me teams that made the playoffs. And there's their flat pass and run card. And their backup, I'm not going to show everybody on all the teams, but their backup quarterback was Bob Lane. I don't know if this guy ever played in the NFL or not. And yeah, we got another guy, Paul Ott Caruth, fullback. I think he was in the NFL. I don't remember what team. I want to say the Giants, but I'm not sure. But I'm pretty sure he was in the in that league. So anyway, those are the players I'm going to show you on Birmingham. And the next team we've got is the Baltimore Stars. Now the Baltimore Stars in the earlier USFL, the 83-84 versions, that was the Philadelphia Stars, but they moved from Philadelphia for whatever reason, I don't know. And you can see the punter on this team is Sean Landetta. Now, I know he was in the NFL. I want to say he was on the Giants, the punter for the Giants. Again, I don't really know whether it was before or after the USFL, because in a lot of cases what happened was these guys were quote unquote washed up. There was two big camps. The guys that were quote unquote washed up and they couldn't get on an NFL team to save their lives, so they played for the USFL because they wanted to play a little longer. And the other camp was rookies, young guys that were drafted by the league, like Steve Young was on the LA Express. And you know, and were just chose to start their careers with the USFL. So now one of my favorite quarterbacks from the USFL is Chuck Facina. And there's his card. He was a really good USFL quarterback. Now, he was in the NFL on the Chargers, and he was a backup to Fouts. And that's his running card. And again, if you want to look at any of these guys a little longer, you can just stop the video. Halfback Kelvin Bryant. I'm pretty sure he was in the NFL. I just don't remember what team offhand he was on. Fullback David Riley. No idea if he was on a team or not in the NFL, but that's his card. Here is a receiver, Willie Collier. Now, the name is familiar to me. I want to say he was probably in the NFL, but I'm not 100% sure of that. Scott Fitzke is another receiver, not a reliever, but a receiver. There's his card. Ken Dunick is a tight end. There's his card. Baltimore's defense against the pass was average to good. And that's their defensive pass card. Against runs, they were average. And there's their flat pass and run card. Their backup quarterback was Tom Rioran. Don't remember him being in the NFL, and he may not have been. Receiver James Caver. He might have been in the NFL. I'm not sure. This guy caught 21 passes for 274 yards. Alan Harvin, running back Alan Harvin. I want to say he was in the NFL. I just don't remember what team, but the name is very familiar. And here's a running back, Gary Worthy. He was pretty good. I have no idea if he was in the NFL or not. But anyway, those are the guys we're going to look at for the Baltimore Stars. And that brings us to the New Jersey Generals. We're going to take a look at the New Jersey Generals, or a lot of the more famous players on that team. And you could see, again, a lot of punters went to the USFL. Rick Partridge, he punted for the Denver Broncos of the NFL, I remember. And there is their special teams card. Their quarterback, of course, who was all over the place, was Doug Flutie. Doug Flutie was in the USFL. He was in the NFL for several teams, the Patriots among them. He threw that he launched that famous touchdown pass for Boston College. And that pretty much is why he was in the NFL, and even the USFL. And here we go, Herschel Walker. I'm going to leave that one up there for a little bit. Now, Herschel Walker, obviously, he was in the NFL. He played for the Vikings. He played for Dallas. I'm not sure what other teams he played for, but there's his New Jersey General card. And another guy who was definitely in the NFL is Maurice Carthen, the fullback, and he played for the Giants of the NFL, at least. I don't know who else he might have played for, but he definitely was on the Giants. Walter Broughton is a receiver. There's his card. I don't know if he was ever in the NFL, though. Sam Bowers, tight end Sam Bowers. Don't know if he was in the NFL. I have no idea. Clarence Collins, he may have been in the NFL. No idea. Again, the name isn't really that familiar to me. Now, New Jersey, against the run, they were excellent. There's their defensive card against the run. And against passes, they were average. So there's their run card. And then there's their flat pass and run card. The backup quarterback for the Generals was Ron Reeves, and that is his card. There's his passing card, and there's his running card. And of course, I forgot to show Flutie's running card. Let me go see if I can pull that up, because that is pretty good too. There's Flutie's running card. Let's see. Marcus Hackett, a receiver, may have been in the NFL, may not have been. Of course, that could apply to pretty much all of these guys. Running back Clarence Harmon, that name is familiar to me, so I would guess he was probably in the NFL. Again, if anybody knows, let me know in the comments. Jeff Speck, tight end. Now this guy, Rod Peegs, running back, I think he was in the NFL, if even just briefly. There's his running card. And that is it. That's all we're going to look at for New Jersey. That's all that's notable for New Jersey. And now we have the Oakland Invaders. And I think that was their helmet. I'm not sure. Again, anything that I make a mistake on, you want to correct me on, you want to enlighten me about, feel free to do that in the comments. And let's see. You know what? For them, here's their specialty card, their specialist card. And their kicker was Novo Bojovic. And I think he was in the NFL. Not 100% sure, but I think he was. And of course, their quarterback was in the NFL for the Saints, and that is Bobby Hebert. And he might have been on some other teams too, but there's his passing card. You don't need to see his running card because he's only got line buck. He doesn't have a must run because he can't must run, and he doesn't have an end run. John Williams, running back John Williams for Oakland. Elbert Bentley, again, this is a vaguely familiar name, may have been in the NFL, was certainly very good. Had a 5.3 rushing average on 191 attempts. Now, wide receiver Anthony Carter, I know he was in the NFL. Want to say on the Eagles and maybe the Vikings. So there's Anthony Carter's card. Gordon Banks, he might have been another guy that played in the NFL. One of their receivers. Clarence Verdun, and he is a split end and tight end. I think he might have been in the NFL as well. Now, Oakland's defense against passes was average to poor, and that's their passing defensive card. There's their flat pass and run. And against runs, they were just good. And their backup quarterback was Fred Bassana. Don't know if this guy was in the NFL, but he looked like he could have been because he actually was pretty decent. He had a better completion percentage than Abear. His was 58.6%. But he had a high interception rate too. Fullback Eric Jordan. Wideout Derek Holloway. I want to say he was in the NFL. The name is familiar to me. Fullback Tom Newton. Again, a name that's vaguely familiar. Don't know if he was in the NFL though or not. And that is Oakland. Next, we will look at the Houston Gamblers. And again, I'm using the Houston Texans helmet to stand in for the Gamblers because it was a similar looking helmet. And we will take a look at them. Yeah. Their kicker, here's their specialist card, and their kicker is Tony Frisch. And Tony Frisch was on the Patriots of the NFL. I think he was also on the Eagles. So he was on the Patriots and the Eagles that I know of. And I think he was a barefoot kicker, as I recall. Now, of course, their quarterback, you all may know that name, Jim Kelly. Jim Kelly was the quarterback of the Gamblers at one point in his career. Of course, prior to his NFL career where he played for the Bills. And there is his running card. It's mainly the must run is what you would look at, which is pretty good. He had a 6.1 rushing average. Sam Harrell, halfback Sam Harrell, there's his card. Another running back, Todd Fowler. And I do plan to play a game with this set, or at least one or two games with these teams. Here's receiver Ricky Sanders. Now that name is familiar, so he may have also been in the NFL. Not sure, or if he was, I don't know what team he played for. Flanker Richard Johnson, again, this guy was pretty good too. So I would assume some of these guys that were really good had good cards. I would assume they probably at one point or another were in the NFL as well. Split end Gerald McNeil. I'm pretty sure he was in the NFL. I just don't know what team, but the name is familiar. Maybe on the Falcons. I'm not sure. So their defense was good to excellent. What is that? Against the pass. Against passes, they were good to excellent. There is their flat pass and end run card. And against the run, they were good to excellent. So these guys had a pretty good defense. Their backup quarterback was Todd Dillon. There's his passing card, and he also had a pretty good running card. And there's that. Don't know if he was in the NFL. Again, he looked pretty good, so who knows? Scott McGahee, flanker. I think he was in the NFL. I want to say he was in the NFL. And of course, some of these backups anyway, if you get the set, you'll see a lot of the backups on the teams, you know, played almost a negligible amount of time. So I wouldn't think that they would have been in the NFL at any point. This is the Memphis Showboats. Don't have their helmet, but Jim G. Miller was a punter for the team. I know there was a quarterback named Jim Miller, so maybe that's why they, you know, designated him as Jim G. Miller. Their quarterback was Mike Kelly, and there's his passing card. And there is his running card. And he wasn't a bad runner, 5.1 average. The fullback, Harry Sidney. There's his running card. Halfback Tim Spencer. I'm pretty sure he was in the NFL. I want to say with the Falcons, but again, not really sure. Flanker Greg Moser. No idea on him whether he was in the NFL or not. Mark Raw. Again, no idea whether he was in the NFL. Derek Crawford. Receiver. Their defense against the pass, Memphis was very poor. So there's their pass defense. And against the run, they were good. And there's their end run flat pass card. Their backup quarterback, who was one hell of a runner, was Walter Lewis. There's his passing card. You can see he gets flushed from the pocket quite a bit. listed as a pistol quarterback. Not really sure what that means, but there's his running card. He had a 9.1 rushing average. So you want this guy flushed from the pocket. You want to guess right if you're the defense on passes. Fullback Ron O'Neal. Tight end Gary Shirk. I'm pretty sure he was in the NFL. Don't remember what team, though. Fullback Anthony Parker. Again, this is a vaguely familiar name, so he may have been in the NFL as well. Halfback Leonard Williams. No idea on him. That's a pretty generic name. Halfback Ricky Porter. I want to say he was in the NFL as well. That name is very familiar. So I think maybe he was also in the NFL. And that's Memphis, or at least the players I'm going to show you on Memphis. So what do you guys think? Is this a set that you might be interested in getting? I have toyed with the idea of getting the game itself, the electronic game, and then making some of the other teams. Again, I was a Federals fan. I don't think the Federals were in the league by 1985. But let me know your comments below. Subscribe to the channel if you're not. And watch some of the other videos that you haven't seen. And that's going to be it for me, Sportsman Z, Bob Zolke, signing off.